Start from your... I can't hear. Start from your... All right.
Everybody has said, a lot of what I believe as well. But for me, especially in the advertising space, impact for me is about thought leadership. It's about improving the lives of the people who will view your ad. I don't write things that I don't believe in. I try my best to not get involved with products and services that are not true, because the audience can smell a lie, that's where I start out. What is my why? I want people to live better. So when I write for JN Bank and I write mortgage campaigns, it's because I want people who can afford their own place. When I write for Access Financial and the small businessman, and it's also a different way that I do what I do. We're going to them shop. We'll go over the farm. We're going to take off my heels and go all to chicken. Because for me, it's about helping them to achieve their why. And so I believe that if we all start from our why, then we'll be impactful in the end.
Now, given that we're still on you, Ms. Tennille, as it relates to authenticity and influence, all right, what are the steps one needs to take to balance accuracy while keeping or meeting the audience expectations and the trends?
All right, so I've had the occasion, many occasions, to talk to some of my clients off the ledge, because we are now in influencer culture. And so they come to me and they say, we need one influencer for talk for the brand. We need somebody popular. And so I've had to say, boy, it depends on the why again. What do we want to achieve? And if you're going into the space wanting to become an influencer, all I can tell you is get a good camera, a ring light, and some thick skin. Because everybody is an influencer, everybody is a critic. And so for me, when you think about going into that space, when you think about being a part of that ecosystem, it really, you ought to lay out what you want to do, who you're talking to, and then what part of yourself do you want to give to the audience? Because you can't be a full open book when you talk about authenticity. I saw one influencer, I don't want to say her name, talking the other day about not being able to be her full self. Because especially if you want to work with corporate brands, you can't be your full self. You have to become this curated version of yourself. And you find that I also have a daughter who might be a little bit popular in the TikTok space. And sometimes we're on the road and just random folks will come up to her, want to take picture. Or they take pictures of her while she's out there and send it to her to say, I see you. So if you are thinking of being in that space, I would say curate a portion of yourself that is linked to the why, that you want to give to the public. You can't give them everything, because then they begin to think they have access to all of you. Yeah?
I would say, how would you balance that as well, especially that you have to curate yourself? Because sometimes people curate themselves and then they forget who they are.
No, but you see, curating yourself don't mean creating a false identity, It's curating a portion of yourself. I tell you already, the audience can spot a lie a mile away. So it's just giving them a portion of yourself. All right, so for example, say you're into fitness and you want to become a fitness content creator. Find a niche. Who you're talking to? You're not just doing fitness, you're talking to moms over 40, who might have a little fupa, who can't afford or don't want to invest too much in equipment, so all right, you just want a little kettlebell, but you keep your content to that space. You don't need to carry it in your bedroom, you don't need to carry it on the road. I talk to people all the time about posting in real time, how dangerous it is. And so you curate a portion of yourself and don't give the audience everything. I would say, one bit of advice that I'd like to share is to just do the work. Yes. We're in a stage and an age where sometimes the shorthand and the cut corner, let me tell you something, there is so much value and self-value when you do the work. So if you have to write something, write your best. Do the research. Get the data. Because what you're going to write and put out there will affect somebody, a family, businesses. When it's time to shoot something, think about the best angles that you're going to used to tell the story. How can I be different? How can I be impactful? How can I, pull somebody in? It all boils down to your integrity as a person, because if you're hired to do something, you can't just go and go shortcut it and then go home, you know. And people always say, and I don't know when bash me for this part, but Gen Z always want to do the least amount of work for the most amount of money. No, all of it. I mean, listen, my oldest is about to be 25. And because it comes so quick and easy to them sometimes, some of the things that I might give her to do, she's done in an hour, you know? But for me, I implore you, when you get into these spaces, you know, my father taught me, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. So, no, it's true for me. My work is stressful, but I'm so excited every morning to get up and write a campaign or to come up with some videos. I'm now in the TikTok space with my clients. Almighty God of Daniel, you know? So it's a lot of work, and my work is very labor intensive. And now that most corporations are moving towards digital, it's like you're shooting TV ads to put on social media, you know? So I'm coming from a stage where I get a $5 million budget to shoot a TV ad for Maggie, to a time when the client said me have 500,000, what you can do? Because once you post it once on social media, it kind of dead the next day. So for me, it's about doing the work. Put your best foot in it. Put your best foot forward, you know? You know what I'm saying, Dr. Knife? No, do your best every time. You're only as good as your last project. You're only as good as your last project. I am 26 years in this business. And every time I get a project, we look at it with fresh eyes. How can I do this differently? It's still gonna have my little monogram on it, you know. Still gonna have the Tennille in it. But I'm gonna do the work. My team will tell you, if she forget on the ground, people sometimes don't know that I'm the boss, you know. I rebranded Corporate Area Champs 2 years ago. And we did a staging of it February, March. And I was setting up a booth for one of my clients who was a major sponsor. And the decorator was taking long to get the booth ready. But my client is sponsoring the event. I'm also on the board organizing the event. The booth won't clean up. He never take nothing off for me for grab a mop and bucket and fix up the booth. You understand? Because that's what my client pays for everything to be in place. And the buck stops with me. There's no part of the work that is, you know, that me too good for do. And when you start at the bottom, which I did, my very first radio job, the Jenny show, when it was 92, Radio 2, yes. That was my very first job. I was sitting in a meeting for a friend who couldn't bother go to the meeting. And because I was talking so much and contributing, Jenny and Lloyd Pusey at the time, who was general manager, said, why you don't do it? So I said, no, I can't do it. I said, I'm filling in for somebody. They said, no, but you can do the work. I did that job for free for 2 years. They claim we never have no sponsor, but I was learning. For me, we must can do the work. So if it means that I go to Half a Tree bus stop every day and interview people for my little Vox Pop section of the show and think, I'm learning it. When I left Radio 2, I left there with that skill, and I could go to Nationwide. And when Cliff Hughes needed features on This Morning and for Nationwide at 5, I could create those because I did up and down with the man in the streets. And I was exposed to different personalities, so I could write features that would speak to that man and this lady and that girl. You know, but it's about doing the work. And every time the work of a dollar value where you get a change in your hand, sometimes the work, the value of it, God, you can't take it back from me. What you say? But no, if I do it, because I did the work. You know, and so, may I tell you, if you shy away from the work, might as well you hide from the money.
Do the work to get the big money.
Evolve or die. I know people, the big conversation is about AI and how AI is going to take all of our work and so on. AI is not there yet. I use AI. And as a purist, I like to write from scratch and start my own thing. I don't want AI write it for me. But there is some value in using the tool. And what I've also recognized is that my clients don't know how to use it. AI is still garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't write the correct prompt, if you don't write what it is exactly that you need, if it's a photograph that you need, you must be able to tell it what kind of lighting must be there. You must be able to tell them, says a Jamaican looking man you need with locks and him about a red tam man in this and in that. You have to write the prompt that is so detailed. We really should have a course in prompt writing. So don't be scared to use the tools that are there. I also resisted TikTok because, mighty God. But I've now learned, I have one of my brands that I manage on TikTok, Sud. I don't know if you've seen their social media. We've been on there, February is when we started. And the page just gone viral, so there's very little rhyme or reason. The one thing that we have, the one ingredient that we have there though is the truth. We tell you what the soap can do. We show you who working at the factory. We tell those stories. So I want you to use all the tools that are available to you. And my last point is the skills that you amass, learn to pivot with them. So you learn to produce audio and video. Media don't appear so hot, but advertising is a nice space. Voiceovers, my little, may do a commercial here and there. Because there's so many different facets within what you've already learned and the skills that you've already amassed. Learn to pivot with it in order to make your purpose become profitable.
Round of applause for our panelists.